and our pick at number 17 is we'll play their fight song here coming up. But they were one of the great surprises of all of last year.
Might have been the biggest surprise of last year,
and I think without a doubt, and they were a fun team to watch last year. Do we have this there, Ty? Let's hit it. Number 17 in our countdown. A lot of purple.
Purple Kryptonite.
That is the fight song of the TCU Horned Frogs, if you're not aware.
It's just a spunky
Leave that
fight
up.
song.
You like that?
It's not bad. I don't think I've ever even paid
TCU.
attention to their fight song before.
Rah, rah, TCU.
They're probably my least favorite team in the Big 12.
Least favorite.
Of the new Big 12, too?
Besides Oklahoma.
Where's our guy Johnny Rogers, man? Johnny.
That's part of the reason.
That's part of the reason.
Never stops talking about him.
Where's Craig Flower? We have a lot of TCU friends.
Yeah,
I'll be with Craig Flowers tonight at the Round Rock game.
Hey.
I think Craig Flowers' daughter is singing the national anthem. Is that correct?
Yep.
Is that real? Wow.
Mm-hmm. Craig Flowers has 3 daughters, and one of them will sing the national anthem.
A talented bloodline, doesn't he?
They're very talented.
But the TCU thing, what I liked last year that they did was really cool. The Hypno-Toad was pretty bad.
That was awesome.
Is that
Look
badass,
really?
though?
Dude, it's
It's
unofficial.
so annoying.
Oh, it's annoying because you're not a fan of TCU.
They caught a heater last year. There's no doubt about that.
It's the girl. I can't deal with the.
I was say you hate it. I can tell you got a special disdain for it. But I think if you're a TCU fan, it was cool that they came with the Hypno-Toad. It was part of their secret mojo.
Yeah, well,
I like unofficial mascots, and Hypno-Toad was an unofficial mascot. Just like John Wick's going to be Texas' unofficial mascot this year. Boom. Take that.
Well, is it fair to say that TCU, we'll recap what they did a year ago, where they're going now is the big question. We have them at number 17. A lot of players to replace, but they're going to play the game that would be most watched week 1.
Versus Colorado?
Colorado, the Deion Sanders
debut.
Because
I can't wait. I can't wait. And even if Deion, and some people are saying he's going to get blown out, I think the number right now has TCU close to a 3-touchdown favorite.
Yes.
Somewhere around there.
So it may not be a great game.
Number. That's a big number. It'll be watched, though, because you want to watch it. If Deion's blown out, you still got to watch it to see how Deion responds to being blown out. If Deion's competitive, you're going to watch it because Deion's going to be competitive. But either way, you're going to watch that game. That game's going to have high rate. It's going to have some really high ratings. Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yep.
And the rest of the slate, there's some pretty good games. We'll run downs. But for TCU, here's one thing you have to say. Last year was a pretty magical run for them. Right? I mean, they beat Colorado to start the year, but in that game, their quarterback got hurt.
Yeah, the starting quarterback was Chandler Morris.
Got hurt.
Yeah.
And they're thinking, oh, geez, they turn to Max Duggan, and all Max Duggan does is go to, be a runner-up for the Heisman Trophy. From injury to the Heisman almost. They blasted Tarleton. They beat SMU in a good game in the battle for the skillet there, the frying pan. Then they beat Oklahoma, and that was the game that started their run where they would win the game and they would injure the starting quarterback of the opposing team.
Yeah, I remember.
Remember this?
Yep, they did like 3 or 4 games in a row.
SMU's quarterback got hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Then they played Oklahoma, and Dylan Gabriel got decapitated on a cheap shot.
Yep.
And Oklahoma's defense was so bad they won that game 55-24, never close. But then they went on this run of really close games that they survived. Right? I mean, they beat Kansas by a touchdown in a game that Jalen Daniels, their quarterback, got hurt. Beat them 38-31. Then they beat Oklahoma State in overtime, 2 of them, 43-40 in a game that Spencer Sanders got hurt in and left the game, if you remember.
Run.
K-State 38-28, West Virginia 41-31. They had to come from behind to do that.
Happened again, though, the quarterback thing, right?
Quarterback got hurt. And then we know that they came in here and beat Texas. They beat Texas Tech by 10. Then, of course, remember the Baylor game where they had to come all the way back in the fourth quarter?
That was one of the best games of the year. Yeah. It really was a great game.
And kicked the field goal. Now, again, all these things said.
The last second they got out there to kick the field goal, right?
Without a timeout.
It was like precise execution because they got it down to the very last millisecond.
And then they they lost to K-State in the Big 12 title game, we know, and that play at the goal line where they should have run Max Duggan on a quarterback sneak, and they got stuffed. Pretty amazing that each of the last 2 years, the Big 12 championship game has come down to a goal line stand for the champion.
It's really cool.
K-State did
Different teams, too.
Yeah, Baylor did it the year before. And so they lost that game, but if they get their better play call there, they probably win that game. Then, of course, we know the Michigan game and the Fiesta Bowl was as exciting a game as was played last year, 51-45. The back-and-forth nature of that game.
That was an awesome game.
And then we know it ended with a smashing at the hands of Georgia. But, man, a magical, magical season. You realize with TCU, our number 17 team, Rod, in the second half of that game against Michigan, second half, the two teams combined to score 69 points
That's great.
in the second half.
BK would appreciate that. Nice.
So, nice.
But no,
69.
I remember that game. That really was a phenomenon. That's exactly what you want from your college football
Well, it
playoff
seemed like
semifinals.
When you see the score and you realize that game was 14-13 at half, and then you see the final score being 51-45, like, oh, it must have gone to overtime.
Yeah, and both of those semis were awesome.
Awesome.
It was great.
Oh, two best.
That might have been the two best semis we've had.
That was the best semifinal day of the Final Four era.
Yeah, it was really good.
Incredible.
Yeah, but getting back to TCU this year,
my question is, can they maintain that? Was that good fortune or that good coaching?
A little bit of both.
Yeah,
I think it's a little bit of both, and I think this year you're going to see, Sonny Dykes try to replicate that in a lot of ways. Now they will have their starting quarterback from last year. Technically, Max Duggan led them to a national title appearance, but the guy who won the starting quarterback job, Chandler Morris, is back. He originally won the job, and he is back. And hopefully, the reason that he won the job, hopefully that is something that materializes with them. They did get some crucial transfers in. They returned just 11 starters from that TCU team last year. They do get some crucial acquisitions via the transfer portal. They got JoJo Earl.
Yeah, from Alabama, right?
Yeah. So he's come in as a part of the receiving core. That is that's a huge acquisition right there, because Quentin Johnston, remember, he leaves. He's now a member of the LA Chargers. They need something to bolster their receiving core. They also got some acquisitions on offense at the running back positions. Trey Sanders, I believe, is his name. He's a 5-star recruit.
Also from Alabama.
Yeah, 5-star recruit, and they bring him in. So they got some reinforcements offensively. They need those guys to contribute right away, though. And remember, Jared Wiley actually may be considered, who's from Texas, maybe considered one of the best tight ends in the Big 12.
Yeah, he might.
Behind JT Sanders.
JT Sanders.
Yeah.
And he was one of their representatives at Media Day.
Yeah, they really like him.
They like Jared Wiley, the former Temple quarterback.
And yes, and he is also, people theorize that he may have been the one, speculate that he may have been the one to share information and signals about Texas's offense. And remember, there was concerns that Texas opponents may have known some of their signs and signals, and he may have been the one that shared some of that. That's just the allegation, that he may have been the one to share it, because he did know it.
Well, shame on Texas.
Exactly. That's smart by TCU.
By the way, they also brought in Tommy Brockermeyer as an Alabama transfer. The Brockermeyer brother.
Man. I forgot all about that.
And he's got to earn a job. I mean,
he killed it in the transfer portal.
Here's what Sonny Dykes showed me last year. Sonny Dykes can flat coach, right? He's a good football coach. You don't win all those games. The preparation, it was the opposite of Texas. They found ways to win close games, and they did it because Max Duggan was a veteran. They were the most veteran team in the conference last year. They found ways to get it done. A couple of those losses, all of a sudden, it's a whole different season for them. But they won every one, and I still can't believe they lost that K-State game. I mean, that was one I thought they should have had, and won a Big 12 championship. Because that's the thing for TCU, as great a season as it was, you didn't win the Big 12 championship, nor did you win the national championship. So you didn't get a trophy.
It's one of the greatest seasons in the history of your program, and you have no championship to show for it.
No trophy.
But I'm with you. I like Coach Dykes. I like what he's done. He is showing me, it's in the last few years, that he is evolving as a coach. And what he did when he came into the Big 12, he studied the league. And when studying the league, he looked at what are the best and most effective concepts in his league. And that's why he chose the 3-high defense. He was like, in that Big 12, the 3-high defense works. He went and got him a defensive coordinator that specialized in it, and that's what they ran.
Well, and also remember this. For Sonny Dykes, he was at SMU, but he was on the staff with Gary Patterson in 2019. Yep. So knew a lot of the personnel that was still there when he got this job.
Great point.
Reconnected with the locker room. And you're right about his evolution. At Cal, and by the way, if you go read the cover story, Dave Campbell's Texas Football this year is written by Mike Craven, our guest of earlier this morning. He wrote that story, and it's the evolution of a coach, right? Who at Cal was just all offense, didn't really focus on the defense. Got to SMU, and he was. I mean, Sonny Dykes from West Texas in Berkeley, California. That's a culture
very
shock.
Different, very different lifestyles.
Yeah. And he, at Cal, he developed guys like Davis Webb, Jared Goff, and
that Bear Raid.
The Bear Raid, and but the defense was never good enough. Now they beat Texas twice. While he was the coach at Cal, which is still amazing. But so when he got to SMU, he kind of reshaped himself, and he hit the transfer portal like crazy, and he built SMU into a really good program for that level. by bringing in Metroplex kids that had gone off to school and wanted to come back, and he took advantage of the portal in full bore. Remember when Jake Spavital got the job at Texas State? One of his mentors is Sonny Dykes, and so when he went really portal heavy at Texas State,
copying that model.
He was kind of copy what Sonny Dykes was doing instead of what down in San Antonio Jeff Traylor was doing, which was recruiting the 210, recruiting San Antonio.
Basically, all those, what did Mike say, 45 guys on their roster are from San Antonio? They want to stay there. Like, no,
they're all from
home.
So there's different ways to skin the cat, as Coach Royal would say, but maybe Spav, who became a good friend, kind of went too far with the not recruiting high school players. But for Sonny Dykes, that's been his MO. Well, he gets to TCU. I don't say there's a ready-made roster, but that roster was...
Yeah, Gary Patterson had lost his way as a coach, but that roster was still filled with some damn good players.
And we saw that in the NFL draft this past April. Max Duggan did get drafted, but man, at the top, Quentin Johnston
and Dylan Horton, and that's a lot of good guys. D. Winters, good players.
Yeah, well, Danian Tomlinson's nephew,
the cornerback,
he got drafted. Of course, there was so this is the point for TCU, is their best players at every position are now playing in the NFL and playing on Sundays. They have to replace them. How good can they be? Is 17 about right for them? Because they're going to lose some of those games they won close, but Chandler Morris is back to play quarterback.
He's back, and we just talked about the acquisitions they got in the transfer portal, some big-time players.
Let's not forget this for TCU. They replaced their offensive coordinator. Lincoln Riley's brother Garrett Riley left to go to Clemson, where he's going to run Clemson's offense this year. They bring in Kendall Briles.
Which that's not a huge drop-off, man. Kendall Briles, he can coordinate some offense. And by the way, he loves to coordinate offense against Texas. He loves to coordinate to call plays against Texas. And by the way, last time he did, he ate Texas alive with that Arkansas offense.
I know that. I know that's right.
I played with Kendall Briles here at Texas. We were in the same DB room. His origin story is like some out of a comic book villain or something like that.
Yeah, well.
He hates Texas, and he used to be a Longhorn.
Kendall Briles went to Texas?
Yeah.
Before transferring.
He was a DB in the DB room. He's a member of DBU.
He is.
I know.
I think the biggest question I have is on the defensive side of the ball. I think their defense has a lot to replace, especially up front. I mean behind the guy, the up front guys should be pretty good. Johnny Hodges is a great linebacker that they have. He's the preseason defensive. Look
out for the name Savion Williams. He's a wide receiver. Is he on the depth chart that you're looking at? Apparently, like he's 6'5". He's supposed to be.
Yeah, he's number 3.
Okay.
He's a starter for them.
Okay, so he's 6'5". He's supposed to be.
I never doubt, even with Kendall Briles or Garrett Riley. I think Garrett Riley's really good.
Yeah.
I mean, and like his brother Lincoln. But they're going to have talent. And JoJo Earl opposite Savion Williams. They're going to have backs. They're going to have a quarterback that was the starter last year.
Jade Wiley tight end.
Amani Bailey is their running back. Defense brings everybody back pretty much up front. But they replaced pretty much their whole linebacker core.
The secondary might be the best in the Big 12, though. Josh Newton's a hell of a corner. He's
Josh
damn
Newton's
good.
a great player.
He really is, man. He's fantastic.
Josh Newton and Paul.
Bud Clark is also one of the best safeties in the country, too.
Paul Awale is back there as well, the redshirt freshman. So, yeah, again, I think maybe I said this at the Big 12 Media Days when they were picked to finish 5th after winning it or playing for the championship last year. I think Sonny Dykes has some bulletin board stuff. I think don't sleep on TCU. And remember, Texas has to go to Fort Worth in a huge game in November.
Last time you're in the Big 12, too. And Sonny's got a little bit of your number.
Sonny's never.
And so does Kendall.
Yeah.
Kendall's got a little bit of your number, and Sonny's got a little bit of your number.
Am I stupid for thinking they're going to win like 5 games this year?
I would say.
I trust Sonny.
I think they're an 8-win team.
I trust.
They're an 8-win football team.
I trust Sonny's evolution, like he was talking about, because I've heard Mike talking about this too, that he was really big into analytics and scheme when he was at Cal, like analytics, scheme analytics, and then when he got to SMU, culture started to matter more. Or matter as much. Like, man, I gotta get the culture right. All right, I gotta get the culture right, the team chemistry. That's gotta be right. And now he is culture matters just as much as scheme and analytics guy. He's both. He's committed to both equally. And I think you have to be. We just heard Sark say, no, man, culture wins. I got to have my culture. Even Tom Herman used to say it. He's like, no, man, I'll take culture every day over scheme and talent. I need culture. I'm not saying that one matters more than the other, but they matter just as much. You need both.
You need both.
Have to have both.
And if you go back to his dad, Spike was all about culture and connecting with the locker room and connecting with the players.
And not enough of scheme and analytics.
Correct. That's correct. Yeah. So I think they're about an 8-win team, and I think their toughest road trips, they got to go to Iowa State. They've got to go to Kansas State in October. They, of course, go to Lubbock early November.
That could be interesting.
Host Texas. than they are at Oklahoma to wrap up the regular season. So there's TCU, number 17 in our countdown.